So, the way we usually see transition talked about, that whole glow up thing.
Yeah, absolutely. The idea that it's all about like products and routines.
Right, the big visual transformation, the before and
Yes.
after.
Yeah.
It's such a common picture, culturally speaking.
hmm But the source we're really digging into today, this really striking essay, What the Skin Remembers, it paints a very different picture.
It really does.
And our job in this deep dive is basically to pull out the core insights from this amazing piece for you.
Exactly. We want to unpack how this essay pushes back against that standard, beauty narrative.
And explore the alternative it suggests, which is less about buying stuff and more about nourishment, remembrance, even refusal.
Yeah, refusal's a big part of it. It
Mhm.
really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? Like, what if transition isn't that shopping list?
Right. Or that perfect image. What if it's something else?
And how do things like, broth and salt fit into becoming yourself?
Yeah,
It sounds almost strange at first.
it does. And this idea of refusing to perform identity,
Hmm.
what does that actually look like?
Okay, let's get into it. Let's start where the essay does challenging that glow-up idea and this quiet sense of erasure it finds in the beauty world.
Yeah, the essay kicks off with this feeling of being, well, not dramatically ignored, but subtly erased by beauty industry messages.
How does the author describe that? You said quiet.
Yeah, quieter, glossier. It shows up in the usual places, the must-have lists, the product features.
Like that 55 theremin serum
Ugh.
mentioned, or the blush palettes, the anti-aging creams,
hmm
that kind of thing.
Exactly. And the author points out that the underlying message isn't really inviting. It feels more like a correction.
A correction, meaning,
Meaning it's basically saying, here's what you lack, and here's what you must buy to be worthy of the mirror. It's not really about you, it's about fixing a perceived flaw.
and the essay contrasts this so sharply with the author's actual experience, right? Their transition just didn't look like that.
Not at all. No shopping list, no special kit, definitely no neat before and after photo with a caption like, she's glowing.
So how did it happen then?
Well, the essay says it arrived slowly, quietly, through broth and salt and the kind of rest that doesn't sell well. Much more internal, much less flashy.
Right, not something you can easily package and sell.
Precisely. And this is where the essay talks about a particular violence in being told that specifically trans femininity needs these external things, the contouring, the correcting.
Grandflaging, like your identity needs to be, rewritten by Sephora?
Kind of, yeah, that your womanhood is only seen as real if it lines up with a shelf full of products, that your face needs fixing to be read right, or your softness needs, like, proof you bought somewhere.
It's a really powerful challenge to how the market defines identity, isn't it?
It really is. Which leads to the essay's big question. What if transition isn't a performance at all?
What if it's more ancient? Something you remember, not something you build.
Exactly. The author calls their path a refusal, a return, a different kind of glow.
Okay, so that return, that remembering, it sounds like it starts deep inside the body, moving away from seeing the body as, broken.
Yeah, the author talks about just being tired of feeling unwell, tired of the cycle of prescriptions, labels, trying to fix things symptom by symptom.
Without ever feeling truly nourished or whole.
Right. So instead of looking outward for fixes, they started listening inward to sensation, not symptom lists.
And that led to a really different way of eating, didn't it?
Drastically different, stripped back to basics. Fat, broth, salt, meat. Eating to actually feel hunger again, that deep cellular call to be nourished.
So like embracing butter, cooking with tallow, boiling bones, stuff that's often demonized.
Exactly, giving the body those foundational things. And the result, pretty amazing, according to the essay.
What happened?
The body stopped, breaking. It softened into steadiness. Skin started to shine without effort.
Without the serums and masks?
Without any of them. The need wasn't for exfoliants, it was for rest, warmth, food that remembered the land. Simple, fundamental things.
It's interesting how this seemed to, prepare the way for HRT.
Yeah, that was fascinating. The essay describes starting hormones and the changes just arriving with ease, quicker than expected.
Softer skin, calmness, curves developing, better energy, deeper sleep.
All of it. But it didn't feel engineered or miraculous. It felt right, like the body was just blooming quietly, revealing itself.
Not being forced into a shape.
Exactly. And even now, feeling great, good skin, calmer mind, better digestion, The essay stresses this isn't luck.
It's not a miracle cure.
No, it's what happens when a body is fed the way it was always meant to be. It's ancestral, metabolic. It's about being fed.
It's about being fed. That really lands. And it feels like the perfect bridge to the next bit, where the essay directly compares this ancestral way with the beauty industry's way. Two totally different stories of care.
That's the absolute core of it. One story, the essay suggests, whispers about lineage, ritual, feeling like you're already enough.
And the other,
The other one shouts, promises transformation, but only if you give up your time, your money, your trust. One starts with something simple like broth and ends in rest. The other, well, it never ends at all.
right, there's always a new product, a new flaw.
Always. And the author's own skincare reflects that first story. It's called Remembrance, Not a Regimen.
So reaching for tallow instead of toner.
Yeah, or stirring seaweed in soup, not smoothing on serum. Using lanolin on lips because, as the essay puts it, that's what sheep farming women did before me. Not following a trend.
Care coming from slow stews, mountain air,
Yeah.
food connected to great-grandmothers.
Exactly. And the essay points out the modern beauty world would probably call that neglect.
Or unfeminine, right.
Yeah.
Because it insists the body, especially the trans body, needs constant management, control, improvement.
It literally sells us dysphoria repackaged as aspiration. That's such a sharp line. Tells us we're never quite there.
But you could be if you just bought the right kit, if you comply.
Kept up. But the essay just refuses that whole premise. Skin glows because it was never corrupted, not because it was corrected. Softness was fed, not bought.
Needs were listened to, not covered up. Real care is remembering wholeness, not chasing some external idea of beauty.
And the essay lays it out so clearly, ancestral. Tallow, nettle, seaweed, broth, shared in community, seasonal, enough, passed down, builds from inside, honors trans bodies.
Versus modern. Retinol, parabens, petroleum creams, bought alone, constant need, never enough, sold by influencers, patches from outside. And crucially, it capitalizes on trans dysphoria.
It's a stark contrast, and the closing thought on this section is just, bam. They want us to think we're incomplete without them, but the author states, I am already whole.
The rituals might be invisible to the market.
But they're legible to the land. The glow isn't for them, it's because I am fed. Powerful.
Really powerful. Okay, so moving from that deep nourishment and skin, the essay then turns to adornment, color, and this surprising impulse the author feels.
Yeah, this sudden pull towards color, red on the cheek, gold on the eyelid, blue at the wrist.
And the immediate thought is often negative, isn't it? Like, oh, that's vanity, performance, wanting to be seen.
Right, that knee-jerk reaction. But the essay digs deeper and finds something else. Not visibility, but memory. Ritual. The echo of something older than Sephora.
Something passed down in gesture, not packaging.
Exactly. It looks back at the author's foremothers from western coasts, isles, inlands, and how for them, adornment wasn't just like makeup, it was ceremony.
Marking moments, marking meaning.
Yes. A way to belong not to a fleeting trend, but to a lineage.
Are there specific examples in the essay?
Oh, yeah. Beautiful ones. Saffron woven to cloth for status or honor. Ember beads in hair as inheritance or a burial gift. Blue woad pressed onto skin.
Woad, like the ancient Britons.
Yeah, for protection, maybe initiation or marking grief. These weren't about getting approval. They were connective. They said, I am here. I am part of something.
Wow. And it wasn't just pigments, right? Other things too.
Scents, definitely. Lanolin, sage, sweet cicely, meadow sweet smoke earth scents, not bottled perfumes, and cloth carrying memory, a special cloak. Embroidery patterns, wool dyed with seasonal herbs.
Even color had a season. Even the body had a calendar. That's evocative.
Isn't it? The point is, they didn't paint to please others. They adorned to belong, to participate in the sacred, to mark what mattered.
So the author connects that deep history to their own impulse for color today.
Exactly. Not shutting it down as vanity, but listening to it. Maybe it's not about adding something missing, but touching something I almost forgot.
Choosing color not to correct, but for communion, a remembering.
Precisely. Which then leads the essay to think about the face itself and ask that really pointed question.
Why do so many women, particularly in the West, feel, well, naked without makeup? Like the face isn't enough on its own.
Yeah, why does it feel insufficient until it's been worked over? The essay hints.
Something deeper at play here, something stolen.
And how so? It contrasts today with that past where facial adornment was ritual, marking time, place, passage. A berry stain for harvest, ash for mourning, a thread in the braids for your mother's line.
Things that had meaning because they were occasional, tied to story.
Right. Not daily checklist tasks, not sold as self-care, and definitely not done just for mirrors or for men.
So the essay argues that sacred connection to the face got colonized.
That's the word used. Ritual turned into routine. Meaningful adornment got flattened into just maintenance.
And the modern message got twisted. It's empowering to spend ages fixing flaws that companies invented.
Yeah, or that full makeup equals self-respect. And the bare face. Only okay if you're naturally perfect, otherwise buy the product to fake it.
It's a real bind.
And the essay argues the face stopped being sacred and became a site of labor.
Labor, that's a strong word.
It is, and while it applies broadly, the essay says it's especially for trans women, for whom every inch of appearance is scrutinized, gendered, appraised.
The stakes are different, maybe higher, but the logic is the same.
Exactly. Don't paint it. Must be ashamed. Don't buy the cream. You've failed. Appearing feminine becomes this ongoing subscription, a perpetual toll.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
Right. And the author's response is this profound refusal of that whole system, that ledger. My skin isn't a failure. My face isn't a debt.
I am not naked without makeup. I am in ceremony. That's powerful.
It really is. Wearing lineage, salt, tallow, land memory, not foundation, scent of sage, face belonging to foremothers, not algorithms.
So if color is used, it's intentional.
With intention, not to perform, but to remember, not to comply, but to bless.
Like connecting back to that woman painting her cheek with berry, not for beauty, but for blessing.
Exactly. Touching ochre-like truth. Blue at the temple for the ferrying, the sacred edge. The faces witness pigments telling stories, adornment speaking of passage, kin, becoming.
It reframes everything.
Totally. And it closes this part with this affirmation, almost a prayer, for the woman becoming, reaching for balm, not blush, color for connection, not correction.
That you remember.
My skin is already sacred, that my face is already a right, that I do not need their permission to be seen in my own light.
Just beautiful. Which leads us right into the essay's final thoughts, really focusing on that power of refusal.
Letting the market just scroll on by with its lists of 10 things every trans woman must buy.
Exactly. The creams promising womanhood, the palettes, the serums, soothing the very dysphoria they kind of help create.
And the essay says this refusal isn't about being bitter or jealous or ashamed.
Not at all. It is presence without permission. Just being fully without needing the market's okay.
And reiterating where feminist really comes from.
Yes, not built from blush, but from broth. From the bone-deep knowing that I am already whole, nothing needs fixing.
Only remembering.
Right. The softness wasn't bought, it was cultivated. Fed by tallow, tide, quiet mornings, rituals no influencer ever named. The goal isn't passing, it's persisting.
Persisting in your own truth.
And the final vision it offers. The face isn't bare, it's blessed. The body isn't waiting to be improved, it's already sacred.
The herbs, the salt, the skin stories, they're continuities, right?
Yeah.
Carrying the foremothers and the woman becoming.
Beautifully put. And the essay argues this refusal doesn't make you invisible. Quite the opposite.
You become more visible.
More visible than ever, at least to the ones who matter. The ones who see beyond the surface.
Who see the commitment,
Yeah.
not the contour. The presence, not the product.
To promise, not the polish. Exactly.
And that final bit about softness. Softness that resists, it's not weakness.
No, it's strength. It's the sound of the hearth when the war ends. It is the breath drawn after the refusal. It is the root that breaks the stone. Just incredible imagery.
Wow. Okay, so this deep dive, really guided by what the skin remembers, it just lays out this huge contrast, doesn't it?
It really does, between that external market way of thinking about identity correcting, performing.
And this internal ancestral way, focusing on nourishment, remembrance, just being present in your body.
And it leaves us, and you, the listener, with something really powerful to think about. The essay holds up memory, lineage, as keys to understanding care outside of just buying things.
So the final thought to mull over is, how might things shift for you? If you started thinking about your own body, your routines, food, skin, adornment, whatever, through that lens of remembrance or lineage.
Yeah, what might emerge if you tried listening for your own body's deeper memory instead of just the noise from the marketplace? What kind of care would that look like?